My coworker tried to humiliate me for getting breast implants. She whispered behind my back, spread rumors, even tried to get me fired, but she didn't know why I got them in the first place. And she definitely didn't expect what came next. If you've ever wanted to serve cold, hard justice to someone who disrespected you, hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in. Because today's story is a masterclass in karma. And trust me, by the end, you'll be cheering. When I was 24, I lost my mother to breast cancer. I'd already lost both my grandmothers the same way. I felt like I was standing in a family curse, just waiting my turn. That fear, it wasn't paranoia, it was real. A specialist screened me and found precancerous cells. They weren't cancer yet, but it wasn't a question of if, just when. I had 3 options: wait and get checked every few months, remove just one breast and keep checking the other, or go all in. Bilateral mastectomy, full removal, total prevention. I chose the most aggressive option, not out of fear, but out of survival. I wasn't going to be next in line for the coffin, but I wasn't ready for what came next. The surgery saved my life, but it destroyed my self-image. I was left with jagged pink scars, huge, visible, brutal. I couldn't look in a mirror without breaking down. I stopped leaving my apartment. I threw out my mirrors. I felt disfigured. Eventually, therapy led me to a plastic surgeon. Not for vanity, but for healing. I didn't want to be a better version of myself. I just wanted to feel human again. After failed creams and risky lasers, I chose implants. Slightly smaller than my original size. Enough to cover the scars and slowly give me back my confidence. Flash forward. I'm 28 now, working a decent office job, doing better. Not perfect, but better. Enter Jill. Jill was the kind of coworker who always smelled gossip before it even left someone's lips. She overheard an old friend of mine joking about me flying with implants. And just like that, the rumor mill started spinning. By the end of the day, everyone in the office knew I had implants. But not a single person knew why. And Jill made sure of that. What started as whispers turned into jokes. She'd call me Barbie, say I had more plastic than the ocean. One day, she actually referred to me as a sack of silicone. I didn't even hear that one myself. Another coworker told me. I asked her to stop, calmly, quietly, for separate times. But Jill, she was careful. She made her comments in places with no cameras, elevators, bathrooms, always with a fake laugh. Just kidding. It was a regular lunch. A few coworkers, a basic conversation. I said something was shallow. Jill didn't miss a beat. She laughed and said, "You'd know all about being shallow," and motioned to my chest. I saw red, but I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I educated. "Do you know why I have these?" I asked. 4 years ago, I had potentially cancerous cells in my breasts. I got a double mastectomy and was left with scars that made me physically sick to look at. Therapy led me to implants, not for attention, but so I could look in the mirror without crying. So before you judge someone for cosmetic surgery, maybe ask why they did it. Then I picked up my lunch and walked out. It was dead silent, and I thought that was it, until I got an email from HR. She wasn't joking. And after 3 months of it, I'd had enough. The email was from Debbie in HR, a close friend of Jill's. It said I was being called in for creating a hostile work environment. I knew immediately Jill had flipped the narrative. She'd run to her friend, painted herself the victim, and now HR wanted me gone. But I wasn't going down quietly. I dug up my contract and found a clause that let me request an impartial overseer if I felt the HR rep was biased. I highlighted that section. Then I got to work. I messaged everyone who had supported me after the lunch incident. I explained what was happening. I asked if they'd witnessed Jill's comments and if they'd be willing to write and sign a statement. 16 people said yes. By the next morning, I had a folder full of signed witness statements. Jill said OP had more plastic than Barbie on date. Jill made anti-Semitic remarks about another coworker's nose. Jill referred to OP as a sack of silicone. These weren't just about me anymore. Jill had been targeting everyone. Her reign of terror wasn't a secret. It was just something no one wanted to challenge. Until now, I also prepared a list of all the times I'd asked her to stop, a list of witnesses who were in the lunchroom, and a printed page of the contract clause. I was ready. When I arrived, Debbie stood to escort me into the room. I turned to the other HR rep and asked, "So, is my meeting with you then?" Debbie jumped in. "No, you're with me." I pulled out the contract page. "I'd like to request an impartial overseer. My contract says I'm allowed to." She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Supervisor was called. He asked why I felt Debbie was biased. I said, "She's Jill's close friend." She didn't even deny it, just said, "I can be impartial." Supervisor raised an eyebrow and said, "You're excused." I handed over the witness statements, the list of dates, the contract page. I explained everything. Why I had the implants, Jill's months of harassment, the lunchroom confrontation. They listened, and then they started calling everyone who wrote statements, one by one, including Jill. By 3:30, the entire office had been interviewed, except me and Jill. At 4:30, Jill got called in again. At 5, she came storming out, eyes full of rage, voice shaking. She packed up her desk, slammed drawers, told anyone who would listen. She got me fired. I didn't say a word. She shoved past me, muttering curses, and disappeared into the lift. A few minutes later, an email hit my inbox. "Your case is closed." And just like that, justice was served. You never truly know what someone's going through. Jill didn't bother to ask. She just assumed, judged, and tried to ruin me for sport. But sometimes the truth has teeth. And karma, well, she always remembers. If this story gave you chills or made you cheer, hit that like button. And let me know in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or dreamed of? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma gets the last word.